Hey everybody, welcome back to The Practice. This is our video for the South Orange County Church, where every week we get together and talk about the things that we're learning, that God is teaching us, maybe the stuff we're talking about on Sunday. We try to take it deeper and be able to put it into practice.
Yes.
So we're excited to be able to talk to you guys today. We're coming up towards the end of January, which is really crazy. And so I don't know, man, the year already, it is flying. So a lot of stuff going on. I did want to let all of the men know that there's a bunch of guys from all over the Orange County Church of Christ that all want to get together and have some great events for the men throughout the year, where the men can gather and connect and have a place to, just be together. So I think that's really cool. Bobby Doan is helping to kind of coordinate it for the South. And so that's cool. Thank you, Bobby.
Yay.
But the first thing that's happening is this coming Sunday, January the 29th. Apparently, there's some kind of sporting thing going on that I've heard about. I guess it's the AFC Championship game is this Sunday afternoon. So if you want to watch it with a bunch of guys at the building up in the Fellowship Hall at 3:30 p.m. this Sunday, January 29th. So bring your friends, come and fellowship, bring some food if you want, some drinks and snacks, and just hang out and have a good time.
Amen.
That'll be good.
And speaking of the building, thank you for everybody's participation in the drill on Sunday.
Yes.
I'm very grateful. I know it probably felt really overwhelming for some of you, especially the yellow team serving for like the first time or maybe the second time, and all of a sudden you're doing a drill. I'm sorry. So, but I am very grateful for everybody's spirit because everybody had such a great spirit about it.
Absolutely.
And thank you to those of you who got the final live scans done.
Yeah.
We're done.
That's amazing.
It really
That's
is
amazing.
amazing, guys. Thank you so much because all these things that we're doing help protect our kids. They help protect everybody, and but it takes extra time and attention from us. So I'm just very grateful that you did that.
Right. And then this
Oh
weekend.
yeah, then this weekend. Okay, so just to be clear, this weekend is the Mothers in Ministry event, which many of you are going to, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be so fun. But if you're not signed up, if you want to still sign up, there may be a couple spots open. I don't know. It may already be full, but you might want to go on there and just check and see if you can get the last couple of spots. But for everybody else, we just have our regular salt services on Sunday. So there's not like some big service going on for all the women at the building. That's not the way it works. It's basically just the Mothers in Ministry people at the building. Everybody else would be meeting in their regular salt services.
Right. And so as you come together, we just want to really encourage you, especially for the parents that have kids. We just really want to encourage you to be mindful, be aware of where your kids are and, what is going on, and just to be sure that we're really looking out for one another and protecting all of our families and all of our kids. So
I know you already do.
Right. But just wanted to be sure that I could pass along that encouragement for all of us just to be thinking about. So thank you for that. So, we've been getting into the Gospel of Luke over the last couple of weeks, which I've loved. And I've loved getting to spend some time in Luke and see the way that he's setting up the story and the things that are important to him and the common themes that you can start to see throughout the gospel as you're going through it and learning it. And, so our series is called At the Table. And we're trying to kind of land on these specific moments throughout Luke's gospel where, certain significant ministry moments happened when they were seated around a table and when they came together to eat a meal together or have a banquet together or just spend time together around a table. There were amazing things that happened.
It's that food that does it.
We
were just meeting with our small group last night.
Oh my gosh.
It's that food.
The food.
It's the conversation that can happen while you're just having dinner and drinks together. It's just a beautiful thing.
It really is. And so, but God designed it that way that there's something happens, I think, internally, when we're seated around a table sharing a meal with somebody, because it's like, this is life. This is the sustenance of life that helps us to, to continue. And we're sharing that moment together.
And I'm cracking up because you can hear that our dog is at the table.
Right.
She chooses these exact moments.
She waits
to eat
until we're filming a video.
And now you can hear her chomping.
Yes.
And it goes with the lesson. It goes with the lesson. We planned it all along. She is at the table.
There you go. She's enjoying her meal right now. But this past Sunday, Steve was talking about the moment where Jesus calls Levi, and then Levi has a big banquet, and everybody comes together, and people from all different walks of life, and how Jesus is bringing together people that normally would not be together. And what a beautiful picture of what his kingdom is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he sets it up that way so that we can actually, people from different backgrounds, different walks of life, but realize that we are all invited into God's family.
And how
which is such a
upside
cool
down from the world.
Right.
Where you only have people over who are in your socioeconomic class.
Right.
Who are, on your level. We have people over to impress.
Right.
This can often be the reason. It's not about hospitality. Hospitality becomes entertaining.
Right.
And there's such a big difference between entertaining and hospitality.
Yeah.
Entertaining is about what I'm providing, how it looks, how it feels for me, and what you're thinking about me and my home. But hospitality is saying it's not about me. It's about you. It's about having people into your home that otherwise would never be there.
Right.
I just think it's just another way where the kingdom of God is upside down from
Right.
the way that the world thinks.
And when you get together in your small groups this coming Sunday, I want you to be sure that you kind of take a moment to step back and look around and go, this is a picture of God's family. This is it. This is all of us coming together. And all of these people that you might not necessarily know, but because of Jesus, we are all together in the same family. And don't miss the moment when you're gathered around whatever type of meal you have, or even if you're just getting together to take communion together. Don't miss the significance of all of us being here together and doing this together, which is really cool. But as we go on and we look at some different stories in the Gospel of Luke, there's a couple that we kind of wanted to land on today and focus on. It's in Luke chapter 6. And I love these two stories because it shows us how Jesus is starting to, kind of like put down markers and say, the kingdom that I am bringing, the kingdom that I am announcing to the world, it's different than the way that you normally tend to think. Exactly. And so we start to see him confronting, some attitudes and ways that people can think, which I think is good because we can also get into that mode of thinking in a certain way about our church experience or about our community around us, or the way the world is around us, and we can, the normal way of thinking about something. And God is continually trying to disrupt our normal way of thinking and take us into something that may not be in our comfort zone, but where He is leading us into something. And so this is very normal for God to bring us out of the norm. And so we're seeing it here in these two stories about Jesus. But let's look at them in Luke chapter 6, verse 1. It says, one Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and his disciples began to pick some heads of grain, rub them in their hands, and eat the kernels. Some of the Pharisees asked, why are you doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath? And Jesus answered them, have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, taking the consecrated bread. He ate what is lawful only for the priests to eat, and he also gave some to his companions. And then Jesus said to them, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. And so here, Jesus is, the Pharisees are saying, wait a second, this is unlawful. And he's challenging their definition of lawful. Exactly. And he's saying maybe this isn't against the law. Maybe it's the way that you're viewing the law that might need to change a little bit. Jesus wasn't trying to come in and break the laws of God. He was there to fulfill everything. He all of those laws were put in place to point people to God, and he was not trying to get in the way of that. But he was always trying to highlight where we can get off and where people can get maybe they can think a little bit differently than he wants them to be thinking. He's trying to highlight those differences of where he wants them to change their thinking. Yeah,
it seems like he's calling attention to the fact that there must be something that's more important than the law.
Right.
At that moment. And I think that's what always helps me. I'm a law girl. Mm-hmm. I like rules. Right. I like formulas. I like rules. I like recipes. Just follow the recipe. Mm-hmm. And if you do this, it will all turn out the way it's supposed to. So I'm a puzzle girl. I like puzzles. But I think God has had to teach me that there's things more important than the laws. There's things more important than formulas and the ways that I think things should be done, or the ways I've become accustomed to.
Right. So then we see this go a little bit further in the next story here. On another Sabbath, he went into the synagogue and was teaching, and a man was there whose right hand was shriveled. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him closely to see if he would heal on the Sabbath. But Jesus knew what they were thinking, and he said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Get up and stand in front of everyone." So he got up and stood there. And then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save life or to destroy it?" He looked around at them all, and then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was completely restored. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law were furious and began to discuss with one another what they might do to Jesus.
That word "but." That word "but" at the beginning of verse 11, it makes me sad. You know, because I think about how here's this guy who's not been able to use his hand for his whole life, or who knows how long.
Right.
Even if I had to not be able to use my hand for one day, I would be thrown off completely, right? Yeah. And just thinking of the misery that he must be in, and this huge miracle that just happened. But they were so set on the law that they missed the miracle.
Right.
And that just can be so me.
Right.
Because I can be so intent on what's right. What we gotta do this. What's right? This we should be doing this. We should be doing that. And I can miss the miracle that's right in front of me. I just am always struck by that.
Right.
That it's like he wasn't even healed.
Right.
Like, oh, but never mind. The guy was just healed. Never mind. But you shouldn't have been doing that.
Right.
Right.
But I love the question too of, okay, what is lawful? What is lawful to do?
He did ask them that.
Yeah.
He engaged them in the conversation.
Now he's like, okay, let's have a conversation. You asked me, why are we doing what is not lawful? But what is lawful?
Right.
Is it about these details and the way that you've decided to apply it? Or is it about the deeper meaning of doing good? Is it about the deeper meaning of connecting and communing with God? Like where the law is supposed to serve us, to bring us closer into a relationship with God. And this is what is so beautiful, I think, about Jesus, is that he's always trying to bring us back to God. He's turning things upside down so that we don't look at him the way that we always have, but we're actually trying to come in to see God clearer. It's even, I think about Paul talking about, looking as though through a veil or through, through a mirror that's not clear. And then all of a sudden everything clears up and I can see, like, this is what Jesus was bringing us into, was this moment where we can see God more clearly. Amen. And, these are, I want to keep that spirit all the time. And I want to imitate that spirit of Jesus of, like, okay, let me not get distracted by how certain things are done or what is going on, but see what God is doing underneath. And let me be able to understand where God is bringing me. One of the things that we really want to create an environment for here in the South is that this becomes a community of people where critical thinking is welcomed, and where people feel safe to speak up about a concern that they have, or they feel safe to bring up, okay, I don't understand, or I was hurt by something. And where the environment of our community is one where those things are welcomed, and we have a deep trust in God, which will then bring about a humility in our conversations, where fear or defensiveness does not drive our reactions, but instead a trust in God and being able to really listen to one another as we're discussing things. I really see us being able to grow in this in the years to come, where we all learn more and more about how to create space for one another in a non-threatening way.
Right.
And this is something that we really want to help, to create here.
Yeah.
Where there's a space for varying viewpoints even, we have a lot of opinions. There's people with a lot of opinions here. Great.
I got plenty.
I think it's great for us to be able to have a lot of opinions. And how do we work together, though, when we have those differing opinions, to be able to really communally discern, together to discern, where is God wanting to take us and how does he want us to grow?
Yeah, it seems like this lesson right here is just such a good one that Jesus models for us how to do it. When he says, what is lawful to do on the Sabbath? So he encourages this conversation. He encourages them asking. It's probably the first person I would think that would have ever asked them what they think would be lawful on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? Because they were always looking to the experts of the law to tell them what would be. But Jesus opens up this dialogue and he models for us, hey, there's room to talk here. There's room to talk even within the scriptures. We all know that there are tensions within the scriptures where everything is not, some things are disputable. You know, everything is not always black and white, and we have to hold space for these tensions that are in the scriptures.
Right.
And it feels like Jesus was the master of doing that.
For sure.
And leading people through that. I would just,
Yeah.
One of my goals for 2023 has been to learn how to ask better questions. Because I just feel so woefully inadequate when I compare myself to Jesus.
Right.
Anyway.
Very true. So this is, hopefully this will help you as you're thinking about kind of the environment within your small group and also the environment that we're trying to create with the South. And we want to start to have discussions. We actually have some questions for all of you, just kind of about where do you see us moving forward, and here's some thoughts that we have about some directions that we could go with the South. And so what we'd love to do is be able to get together with each of your small groups at some time over the next month.
Yay.
Maybe we can make it work in February.
That'd be great.
It's possible we could do 2 a week. So I'm not sure when your group meets or when you could have us over, whether it's a Sunday after.
When you could fix us food.
When you could fix
just
us,
saying.
have us seat at your table. But we're going to be talking to your small group leaders about that and seeing if there's a way for us to be able to spend time with you so that we can ask some questions and get some input from you about some things that you are thinking and feeling. So even if that has to go through March, we'll do that. But we really want to start to talk about some things and then share with you some things that are on our heart about where we want to go as well. So we're looking forward to that. I do want to
address this Sunday.
Yes.
Yes, you want to talk about this Sunday?
I do. That was it.
You almost forgot it.
I did.
But I reminded you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So this Sunday, it may be that there's a lot of groups where it's mainly the dads and the kids.
Right.
On their own. Now, not all of them. I know not everybody's going to Mother's Ministry. It's fine. But you may find yourself in a situation that's very different than normal, where most of the women are not there. But I think that this can be an opportunity for you and your groups, because I think we always have to continually be training ourselves to look at our small groups as that we have visitors every week. Every child is a visitor.
Right.
Every child in our group has to be looked at as if, how can we make this great for them? How can we engage them in a conversation? How can we keep them involved in the conversation as long as possible? How can we have the teens and the preteens giving input? How can we do that? And for some groups, it might be best if your kids are, in their own little thing on the side. I totally get that. But for some other groups, it might be just a goal to engage them in whatever you're doing on the adult level. I found that whenever I teach kids, I'm actually teaching myself.
Right.
That's what
so true.
When we're humble, right? So when we are trying to become like little children, then these lessons, they just make sense to everybody all at the same time. You know? But this might be the week that you decide, well, let's play football instead. Let's get a good football game going with all the kids and the dads, or let's do some other kind of game that makes sense for our group. But I wanted to give you the chance to really think about it ahead of time. What do you want to plan? You guys may be used to having meals with your group, and maybe that would be thrown off if all the moms are not there or if several of the moms are not there. Who knows? But just heads up, you're going to want to think through it, and think through it through the lens of your visitors. Who's coming that you want to help connect with Jesus?
And if I could just also encourage you, I think you want to think about your small group etiquette. And the sense of when you get together, let's say that you do get together and have a discussion about what we're talking about today, and you're looking in Luke chapter 6, or you're talking about another passage, or you're talking about Jesus. Something that will really help is if the person who's leading the discussion asks a question, answer it. go ahead and raise your hand. Like really kind
Participate.
of pull yourself or push yourself
Force
into that
yourself.
mode
Yes.
to be able to speak up and answer. And I mean, it does take some energy to kind of get a group together and start to lead a discussion. It takes some energy to do that. And one of the most helpful things is when people are like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of this conversation, and they'll speak up. So I just wanted to throw that out there,
Yes.
and encourage you to think about doing everything you can to support the people who are leading your small group and make it a great situation for them.
I'm ready. Share your ideas. Share your thoughts.
Yeah.
You matter. All of your thoughts matter.
Your thoughts matter. That's right. So with that, we love you guys, and we hope you have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.